your Superman news video for the week October 24th to October 30th, 2014. Our top news stories in this week's Speeding Bulletin include Jesse Eisenberg to play Lex Luthor in the Suicide Squad movie, David Goyer is working on a possible Krypton TV series, and Superman is coming to the Puzzle and Dragons mobile game. Let's check out these stories and more in this week's Speeding Bulletin. In movie news, according to a report posted on BatmanNews.com, Ben Affleck's personal trainer Rehan Jalali revealed that Batman's armoured suit in Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice will be covered in kryptonite and has the ability to fire missiles. Where and how kryptonite is discovered remains unknown at this point in time. However, if Batman is going to have any hope of lasting more than 2 seconds in a physical fight with Superman, I guess kryptonite has to be involved somehow. All indications are that filming for Batman v Superman is wrapping up in Detroit, Michigan, with director Zack Snyder telling a Detroit radio station on Tuesday that the cast and crew will be headed to Chicago soon. Backing up this news are photos showing a collection of Metropolis vehicles being transported by truck along westbound I-94 just outside the state of Indiana. It looks extremely likely that production will be moving back very soon to Yorkville, Illinois, where additional crew members have been busily working to get the Kent Farm and Smallville Cemetery locations ready. Superman homepage reporter Jeff Frost went down to both locations in Yorkville, where he saw that lighting equipment has been set up, while one crew member was raking leaves into black garbage bags ahead of filming. Deadline.com reports that Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor could appear in the 2016 movie Suicide Squad. Warner Bros. Is in discussion with Jesse Eisenberg to take the Lex Luthor character he will unveil in Batman v Superman and transfer the villain character to Suicide Squad. The movie is scheduled to be released in 2016 as well. Henry Cavill took some time off from Batman v Superman to help raise money for the Royal Marines Charitable Trust Fund by participating in the Gibraltar Rock Run last weekend with his brother Nick, who is a Marine and also participated in the run. Henry said, "I chose to support this charity not only because of my obvious familial connection, but because of the deep respect I have for the Royal Marines as men and as a corps." Henry also participated in a video interview with HenryCavillNews.com to discuss the Gibraltar Rock Run, his affiliation with the Royal Marines, and how he's enjoyed his time working on Batman v Superman in Detroit, Michigan.
A year now.
I've really enjoyed it actually. I heard so many horror stories about Detroit, Michigan, and none of them are true. I mean, downtown Detroit is a bit worn, certainly, but the suburbs there are absolutely fantastic, and I've met some really wonderful people who have become true close friends, and I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss it.
Warner Bros. Pictures released a 5-minute video featuring Zack Snyder, Ben Affleck and Amy Adams, which raises awareness in the fight to save species of bats across the USA and Canada that are under threat of extinction due to a disease known as white nose syndrome.
I was definitely afraid of bats before and sort of had an idea that they were creepy, but really they have a lot of personality actually. They're quite charming.
In an interview with Movies.com, screenwriter Dan Gilroy revealed that the Never-Made Superman Lives script was amongst his favourites, and its cancellation in the late 1990s is still a sore point for him today. He said, "We were very far along and Warner Brothers had gone through a cycle where nothing they were making was connecting and they were hemorrhaging money and they just didn't feel that they could sustain making that film, so that was a major disappointment." In TV news, according to BleedingCool.com, Man of Steel screenwriter David Goyer is involved in a possible new TV series called Krypton. With the richness of Krypton's history and society as seen in Man of Steel, there were many fans calling for a prequel showing just how Krypton got to the point it did as introduced in the 2013 movie, with Russell Crowe even responding to many of the Twitter messages. While it's highly unlikely any such TV series would involve any of the cast from Man of Steel, a show about Krypton's past leading up to its demise would definitely be of interest to many Superman fans. We'll keep you posted on any news regarding this developing rumour. Warner Archive Collection brings another outstanding Warner Bros. Animation television series to Blu-ray with the November 18th release of Young Justice Invasion, the thrilling second season of the popular series. Warner Archive Collection has added an exclusive commentary track on the series finale episodes Summit and Endgame, and also includes a behind-the-scenes featurette. You can pre-order the collection from our online store now. In comic book news, in a DC All Access interview, inker Klaus Janson gave us a behind-the-scenes look at the artistic process that goes into creating the Superman comic book written by Jeff Johns and drawn by John Romita Jr.
This issue, the one that I'm working on now, which is number 36, is so well done and so intense and so full of pencils and lines. I'm thinking to myself, that this page will take me, a week to ink.
Back in August, an eBay auction for a 9.0 very fine near mint graded 1938 edition of Action Comics #1 set a record price of $3.2 million. The issue was scanned page by page, is now available to read online. The pages have no obvious damage, no yellowing of the paper and no stains, giving fans a look at the pristine pages of this historical comic book as it would have appeared 76 years ago. Check out the full page scans cover to cover of Action Comics #1 at the cgccomics.com website. Comic books we reviewed this week included Superman number 35, which was reviewed by Adam DeChannel, who said this was a deflated chapter in the storyline, and he rated this a 3 out of 5. Adam also reviewed Smallville Continuity Chapter 9, giving it a 5 out of 5, saying the energy in the story and the life breathed into characterizations is so refreshing that it will be a real loss to Superman fans. Injustice Year 3 Chapter 4 was reviewed by T.A. Hewitt, who said Taylor makes a biting commentary about the Batman only to wash it away for the sake of, well, actually nothing, and he rated this chapter a 2 out of 5. Superman comics available this week from October 29th include Injustice Year 3 Chapter 5 digital comic has been available since October 28th, Earth 2 World's End number 4, Justice League United Annual number 1, New 52 Futures End number 26, Smallville Continuity Chapter 10 digital comic will be available October 31st, Infinite Crisis Chapter 25 digital comic will be available November 2nd. This collection of Superman jigsaw puzzles are both colourful and challenging and a great way to spend a few hours, days or weeks. Get yourself this Aquarius DC Comics 1000 piece Superman puzzle for $11.99. Or how about this 3-pack of 50-piece Superman comic series tower puzzles for just $7.45. These and other great Superman puzzles are available from your one-stop Superman shop, the Superman Homepage online store at supermanhomepage.com/shop. In other news, episode 118 of Radio KAL, the monthly podcast of the Superman Homepage, is now available to listen to. In this month's podcast, Scotty and I discuss all the latest filming for Batman v Superman, Batman being taller than Superman, Jenna Malone's rumour, the Warner Brothers superhero movie slate, Justice League Throne of Atlantis trailer, Lego DC Comics Batman Beleaguered, and all the latest Superman comic books, as well as the end of Smallville Season 11 and so much more. Check it out at supermanhomepage.com/radio. A number of rare Superman collectibles will be auctioned off in the latest offering from Hakes.com. The original artwork for the cover to Superman's Pal Jimmy Olsen number 120 by Kurt Swan and Neil Adams is expected to sell for over $5,000. Visit Hakes.com to see the entire collection of Superman items being sold at auction. While Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment and Gung Ho Online Entertainment announced this week that Batman Arkham Origins is coming to the Puzzles and Dragons mobile game for a limited time, advertisements in this week's DC comic books hint that other characters, including Superman, Wonder Woman and Doomsday, will also be joining the game in November. Puzzles and Dragons is available for free for iOS and Android devices. A new DC All Access video gave us a look at some of the more interesting characters you can play in the new LEGO Batman 3 Beyond Gotham video game, including Crypto, Gorilla Grodd, Frankenstein and Parasite. Don't forget you can pre-order LEGO Batman 3 Beyond Gotham from our online store. And that's all the news there was for the week October 24th to October 30th. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm Steve Younis from supermanhomepage.com.
Great Scott! Great Scott! Great Scott!
Hello everyone, and welcome to another fabulous episode of Great Scott. I'm Scotty V. Thanks for watching. So, David Goyer now is rumored to be thinking about producing a Krypton television series, which would, I can only assume, chronicle the history of Krypton, obviously long before Kal-El was born, because right around the time he was born, Krypton goes kablooey. Now, I would love to see a series about Krypton. I've been saying for years that we need more history of Krypton on film, more history on TV. There was a lot of history shown on Smallville, I guess, kind of their own thing. Every show, every movie, every take by every creator is going to be a little bit different. It's been different many, many times in the comics. It's been written by many different comic writers in many different ways. You know, you can see Krypton on the old Kirk Alyn serial from way back in the day, where they're very melodramatic and they speak in a very concise, precise, over-accentuated way. But it was cool to see different versions. They're kind of at a council table yelling at each other about Jor-El's theories, which is generally similar in every rendition that you see. We've seen it on the Superman animated series, which was cool. It made Jor-El kind of a man of action. He rode around on that skiff, and he fought with people who were trying to stop him from getting to Brainiac, who in that version was from Krypton and made on Krypton. And I don't know that it has enough of an audience that would be interested, but if you make it a grand sci-fi epic, a grand space opera where there's emotions and characters and depth and story and great innovations and mystery and cool effects and things for what you can do for television, I think you can make a great story here. I read Last Days of Krypton by Michael J. Anderson, which I'm sure many of you also have, and I really love the story. I love the richness of the background. I love the richness of the world. I love the idea that it's a fully realized, living world with characters and creatures and animals and robots and technology and buildings and everything else that we can see on a TV series in a much grander way than we have before. Now, on TV, this would be something maybe never done for a superhero series, because they pretty much would have to create every setting from scratch. You know, you can't have them in a room like this talking. I think it's a huge undertaking. And I think if you can get the right people interested, it's very possible that Goyer could bring this to the screen in a great and grand way. I really liked Man of Steel. I liked the writing. Were there some miscues, just like in any film? I'm sure that there were. Were there some things that weren't present in the film that fans would have liked to see? Absolutely, because I've heard many talk about it. This is one take, Man of Steel. The Donner films were another take. The Lester films were another. The way they went on from there, very changed, very different from what Donner had initially envisioned. And Superman Returns, even though it was connected to those Donner films and it was kind of supposed to be the same continuity, still its own different thing. Man of Steel, very different from that. The animated series, very different. Every time we see it, it's going to be a little bit changed. It changes in the comics all the time. So they have multiverses, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes there's one Earth, sometimes there's 52 Earths. They don't usually start over at 0 when they do these reboots, but they reboot the comics almost every 10 years or so in one way or another, where some things change, some of the characters' history change. But I think that there's a rich, plethora of historical things that happen in a fictional story, but on Krypton that we could see. They could create their own. They could pick a totally different time period where it's characters we haven't heard of, but then they could sprinkle in some of the other mythological characters, some of the things that have happened, the explosion of part of the moon due to a scientist who eventually gets ostracized and becomes a villain. Why does Zod become a villain? Why does he go over to the dark side? Why are they friends at first and then they become enemies? How do Jor-El and Lara fall in love? Is it a love-type society? You know, there have been representations of Krypton where they've kind of bred out emotions somehow, a little like Vulcans, where they're very scientific and they're very logical and they breed because it's necessary, and they pair with the person that's going to be the most able to, continue the race with them in the best possible way. It's a little like that in Man of Steel, where they create babies out of the best DNA, and you're not supposed to have your own child in secret and then have him sent off to another universe when the world is coming to an end. Hence why Jor-El eventually ends up on the wrong side of the law and of the council, because he does his own thing. He decides that what's best for Krypton and his family is to do what he does. I would like to see how a lot of that came about, and I'd like to see some new characters, and I'd like to see some characters from the comics that have never been on film or on animation or on television, because there's so much that can be done. So I'm really looking forward to it. I hope that you are. I don't know if it can succeed, but I'm a little more optimistic, because it seems like a lot of these write-ups are including Gotham as one of the reasons why people might even be thinking about this idea, because Gotham's being successful. And Gotham had 8 million viewers on its first night. It went down to 6, and I'm sure it's gone down a little more since then before it steadies out. But if 4 or 5 million is the average viewership now that's considered good, in this day and age where you can consume so much television in so many different ways and so much entertainment in so many different places at so many different times, ratings can't matter as much. So I'm hopefully able to revise my position on the Supergirl idea just based on the ratings that I thought for Gotham that were bad. Because maybe if they're happy with that these days, shows like Krypton and Supergirl and Flash and Gotham really do have a chance to go the long haul, 5, 6, 7, 10 years. I hope it comes to fruition. Right now it's a rumor. Although the claim to fame for the website, I guess, that originally spouted off about this was that they were the ones to first announce there was a Supergirl series being talked about. They've talked about an X-Men series that I don't even know about that supposedly is happening. And they were the first ones to get those scoops, so they're saying we now have another. I hope they're right, and I hope it happens, and I hope Goyer gets some great writers and writes himself, and I hope it's a great series. You know, I think it'll need a lot of grand scope because it's going to take place on a wholly different world. So all of the settings are going to be needed to be created from scratch, and CGI, and they're going to need effects and stuff. It could be really cool if done well, and if it takes off. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope it happens. Thanks everybody for watching, and remember, always look up in the sky.